Hello, welcome to another Friday tip. This week's Modern Workforce and AI tip is about Copilot Studio model descriptions. Now, I got a side tip from someone on LinkedIn who said, why don't we ever see you in your videos? And so I'm adding a picture of me today, but if you also agree you want to see more of me, let me know. I can be a little camera shy. So, why am I talking about model descriptions? The reason is because historically, when we see a description field, we tend to deprioritize that. And we try to type as fast as we can and do something extremely concise just to get away from having to do that. So many people don't take descriptions seriously. But understand that anywhere that you see a description in Copilot Studio, it can be leveraged to help with orchestration. So because these are actually descriptions for the AI model, right? So I would not underestimate the value of descriptions. And I'm going to kind of demonstrate that to you today and show you a few places you might spot these, okay? So let's go straight to Copilot Studio. I have created a bot called the Change Management Mentor. I think all of you know that before I was at Microsoft, I was many years doing construction management. And in construction management, change management is probably a top priority. And one of the things I had talked to you about before is what's called a PCO, or potential change order, where a contractor may ask the project owner for an increase in money or in time. So these are cost or schedule impacts. So you will notice on this Copilot, I have not added any knowledge yet, and there are no custom topics. All right, so if I go here, the only custom topics are those that are out of the box. And we can delete these or we can turn these off. These are the learning topics. I tend to want to turn them off sometime just to make sure they're not involved in any of our orchestration. All right. And then in the settings, which you'll notice with new Copilots that you create now, you would automatically have an authentication setting of Microsoft Entra ID. Okay. So we've got that going on. So let's go ahead and leave settings and let's get ready to add our knowledge. Now in the overview, I do have a very brief description. Chatbot to help with questions related to change management. And I have some instructions. Provide professional and concise answers, playing the role of a resident engineer. Now we're going to tweak these based on how things happen so that you can see why this is important. Okay? So you can add knowledge either directly here, or I personally like to go to the tab and just hit add knowledge. All right. Now my change order log, or my PCO table, is in Dataverse. So I'm going to add two Dataverse tables. The account table, the reason being as all the contractors are in the account table. So so the contractors in this case are our customers, right? So we'll add that. You'll notice it says selected above, right? There's one table selected. I don't have to do this twice. I can just erase account and put PCO, which is the other table that I want. Here's my PCO table. And now it says selected two. So we're going to hit next. And in this next screen, you can validate that you selected the right tables. Keep in mind that the default CDM tables that will show up here, or custom tables that will show up here, are only the ones in the same environment with your Copilot. So make sure you kind of like check your tables in Power Apps or Power Automate. Check your tables to make sure they're in the same environment. Okay, that would matter. All right. For many reasons, which we can talk about another time if you put that question in the comment. All right, so the account addresses are all from I just added the sample data to the Dataverse instance so that there wouldn't be any real addresses in here. And then on the PCO side, I want you to notice that we have several change order requests that have come in. And I want you to notice two columns here, the change type column and the status column. Okay, these are option sets. So the value that the AI sees is not change type, which is cost or schedule. By the way, all of these appear to be cost. Now you're wondering, how do you know that's cost, Audrie? Because I happen to know. I've actually built the data, so I know the table, and the table has two types, cost and schedule. And the cost value from an option set back-end perspective is this, and it has a status of active, inactive, and this is the status for active. Keep this in mind. We're going to come back to this. I'm going to hit next, and then I'm going to go ahead and add. I'm not going to add any synonyms. We'll kind of see how that's helpful later. All right. I'm going to hit add, and now those two tables will add to my knowledge. Now, I want to be patient. It shouldn't take more than a few seconds to get that to occur. And notice that I want to keep my eye open for a status of ready. If you do not have a status of ready, then something's wrong and it will not work. Okay, so I won't say something's wrong. I'll say either you have to wait or something's wrong. And if you have to wait, it'll tell you it's in progress. So it's working on it. It's in progress. So that means, just give it time to index. The greater the source of information as far as size, the longer it may take. But in any event, you'll have under a minute of a wait. The highest I've ever seen is like a minute and 10 seconds, right? But I want to wait before I publish this or before I start testing AI against this. I want to wait until that ready is green. The other thing you might want to do after you add data for Dataverse Tables, you don't have to, but sometimes I will publish, but I'm not going to publish right now. But if I were going to free this to external users, I would need to remember to publish after I add these new knowledge sources. Okay, so let's ask the question. Let's say, how many cost change requests are have been submit. Now, I'm not going to mention a customer name because I would have to go look at my database. So now notice here that I didn't get an answer. I'm not sure how to help with that. Okay, there's two reasons for this answer. Reason number one is it doesn't know what in that database is a change request. It has no idea that those are change requests. And two, for cost, it doesn't see that either. It sees an option set number. So let's go kind of adjust in both of these, right? So first, I'm going to open the PCO account, right? And in this, I'm going to actually make some changes here. So I'm going to preview this. I'm going to go find out what the change type is for cost here. Copy that. I might want to go to the database and get the type for schedule, but in this case, this particular chat Copilot is focused on cost anyway, so I don't need the scheduling change type to be supported by this bot. But if I wanted to have both supported, I would get both, right? Now I'm going to go back to the details and I'm going to change this. This is the default description it gives. And remember, I told you descriptions are important, right? This description is highly technical in the fact that it's just talking about we added two tables. Let's make it more clear, okay? This knowledge source is managing change requests. I'm going to actually put PCO requests. PCO stands for potential change requests. The priority for this knowledge source is cost impacts. Cost impacts are highlighted in the change type column as, and I will put that number. Okay, so now I've educated my model with a real beneficial description. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to copy this to make sure it doesn't like lose it. So I'm going to go to synonyms, and I'm going to go to PCO, and I'm going to go to the PCO ID, and I'm going to add a synonym called potential change order ID, and add that synonym. Okay, so both of these two things that I have done are increasing the awareness of the AI. Okay, so now I'm going to save. Okay, and notice it gives me a little alert here. Saving changes may impact published copilots. So what it means here is that if someone is editing those tables right now, it could be affecting the generated answers for your published copilots. So again, when you're ready to have it tested with people, make sure you click publish. All right. I'm just working in the test panel right now for the sake of this video. Right. So now that is now all fixed. Right. We have that new description in there. And I might even put this in the instructions. Right. I'm not going to do it right now, but I actually might include in the instructions that cost impacts are a change type of that number, right? Educating my chatbot. So now let's refresh and say, do we have any change requests submit? Do we have any recent change requests? I'll just put, I'm bad at asking questions apparently. And let's see if it gives any different, right? Because we've given it enough education that it probably should recognize that a PCO is a change request. And notice it goes ahead and now tells us, right? There are 5 recent change requests submitted or approved, okay? Now, we might need to do the same thing with the status column if we want to eliminate anything that is not approved, that is, approved from the results, right? And then it tells us the top 3 records that were created here. Now, what if I say, what is the total cost impact of the PCOs, or I could even say change request, because you can see it understands now. Change request submitted. And we'll give it a minute, a little bit less than a minute. And notice that it says the total cost impact of the change requests submitted so far is $27,300. So let's go to the knowledge for a second and let's preview the PCOs. And let's add it up. So 12,000 plus 8,000 is 27,300. It added all those up. Isn't that cool? Now, another thing that's in here that we don't see on here is the account name. So if we go back to the account name, there is a related account to all the change requests. And why don't I just take a minute and show you the table. Go to tables here, making sure I'm in the same environment. Okay. From the tables, I'm going to open up the PCO table. This is the primary for what we're doing in this chatbot, right? And you'll notice that if I go here, I can say account and see which customer is associated with the table. We got AdventureWorks and City Power and Light. Let's see if it understands that, all right? Now here, it would have to understand that relationship between the two tables. How many PCOs, I'm actually changing my word, PCOs requests are, okay, I'll put have been submitted by AdventureWorks. And I'm sorry if this is not large enough. Okay, so you can see the other ones that I did. And so how many PCO requests have been submitted by AdventureWorks? So now we're really asking this, Copilot to be a little smart, right? In this case, it would need to understand the relationship, and notice that it did. AdventureWorks has submitted 2 PCOs. So let's look, and we've got 2. All right, now let's see if it'll give us a list. Could you please list the 2 PCO requests? And I'll even keep changing my terminology. 2 change requests submit by AdventureWorks. Okay, so I'm asking it to give me a list. All right. All right, now it's giving me a link to the 2 change requests. Now here is where special instructions can work. All right, so I'm going to go into my topics, and I'm going to go into my system topics here. And where this is, so all of this is happening under unknown intent because we have no topics. So all unknown intent comes through on the conversational boosting topic because it's unknown intent. We have no topics and no actions that have model descriptions that would say, go do that instead. So it defaults to here. Now we're going to edit this, and we're going to add some special instructions. Sorry, I made a mistake and hit the formula. Please, and I'm going to change this moderation also to medium. Please use a bulleted list format for any inquiries related to table records. Now, I don't even know if this is going to work, but let's see, right? In the list, show the account, the amount, the cost impact, and the description, which is the reason. Okay. All right. So I'm going to save that. Let's see how it goes, right? Sometimes you just got to try because, the world of AI is about getting good with prompts. And again, these descriptions are like prompts, and our instructions are another form of prompting. Okay. So do we have, okay, I'm sorry. Can you list the PCO requests that have been submitted by AdventureWorks? Okay, see if we get a difference in the format. And there we go. Notice the big difference. I don't just have a citation. I've got the PCO ID, the cost impact, the account, what the impact is, and the description, right? And apparently I picked the wrong column. It's not description that I wanted. Let's try that again. So I'm going to go back to my knowledge and preview the table for PCO. I think it's the reason I want. So I'm going to PCO, change reason. This is what I want, not description. Copy. And then I'm going to go back to my topic. I'm going to go back to my custom special instructions for the conversational boosting. And you can do this in any node, not just the default node. Instead of the description, I want the change reason. So let's save that. All right. Make sure it's saved. Overview. I'm so happy. I'm just going to go ahead and publish because I'm so happy. This is working out really well. And I hope it's showing you the value of you kind of using instructions and data descriptions to help the AI understand data that might be difficult for an artificial intelligence to understand. Because remember, they're not human, right? Even though we'd love them to be, they're not. Okay, so let's refresh this. is to refresh your text panel. And I noticed today I'm getting 2, but just refresh until you get 1 and then hit publish. Remember that this is just your test panel. That's not the way it's going to show up in your channel. It depends on the host. So you should test also wherever you plan to publish this to make sure it looks and feels the way you'd like it to. Don't forget you can use the web chat control to customize your experience. Let me know in the description if you'd like a tip video on that. All right, so we're just publishing our bot. It's all done. And I just want to remind you, we're going to go back to the slides for a minute, right? When we had not defined what a PCO is, it didn't know what a change order request was, so it came back with "I'm sorry." But then we didn't love this format, so we added a custom instructions so that it would include the ID, the cost, and then also the change reason. So remember to combine synonyms, model descriptions, and custom instructions in order to educate the AI. And that's this Friday's tip. And I will be seeing you next Friday for another tip on how you can have success in the modern workforce with AI. I'll be talking to you soon. Have an awesome weekend.